And I'm Rudy Anastas. A coordinated attack across America today. That is the story. New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pittsburgh. As you know, in New York City, the World Trade Center has been hit by 2 planes and then explosions, and those 2 towers are down.
Well, holy shit! What is it? What just went down?
It was more than 8.5 hours after the initial shock of terror that yet another skyscraper, World Trade Center number 7, the site of the city's emergency operations center, which was weakened by hours of flame, finally collapsed. By then, dozens of other police and fire and ambulance departments had joined the battle. But the reinforcements could not save the Twin Towers that fell victim to suicidal hijacked planes. And even search crews with dogs had to await the 3rd collapse before they could begin to search for survivors and for the bodies of the dead inside the crumpled towers.
There's an explosion. We're on the support floor, which is a basement. Guy came in running. All his skin was out of his body. Oh my God. All his skin was out of his body. We took him out. We ran out. We heard a lot of rumbling. I went back in. There was a lot of smoke. We went up like the stairs with the Port Authority police to start rescuing people. A lot of people were coming out. But there was a lot of people that stayed there. We brought a lot of people on wheelchairs and a lot of people on gurneys, all people that couldn't make it.
Well, just before 5:30 this afternoon, it too crumbled, pancaking almost like a precision implosion. Ironically, the building had housed the city's emergency management office, which relocated before that collapse.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Joining us on the phone right now is police officer Sam Esposito. He was in the midst of all of this today, and right now he's in a hospital bed getting treated for some injuries. First of all, thank you for joining us. We hope you're doing okay. Tell us about your injuries.
I have a busted kneecap on my right foot, and I have something wrong with my wrist. They just casted it up now, and I have some back injuries that I got when the building exploded.
Tell me exactly, where were you at the time of the explosion?
Well, there was actually, when the explosion happened, I thought I was on the 2nd floor, but the fire department, when they found me, they said I was on the 5th floor. So we were on the 5th floor canvassing the floor because we kept hearing voices and people yelling, you know, help me, and we were trying to locate the voices, and you just couldn't. It was just so dark and there was so much soot, you just really couldn't find them.
Officer Esposito, at the time of impact, would you tell us exactly what you felt, what went on?
It felt like an earthquake. It felt like the ground from under you was just going to break open and the whole building was just going to cave in. And what ended up happening was the outer part of the inside of the building stayed intact, and the center floors just caved down. They just went right through. And all you do is just see a hole right through the center of the building, and the outside perimeter of the inside was just there, and that was all that was left. And you hear the voices, and the people are just, you just feel helpless. There's just really nothing, there's nothing you can do. You just try so hard, and there's nothing you can do.
So how did your knee actually get busted in your wrist and in your back? How did it actually happen? Were you trying to pull someone to safety? Did something fall on you?
When there was I believe, from what I understand, the fireman said that the street collapsed on the outside of the building, and when the street collapsed, there was an explosion which threw me. And it must have threw me across the room, and I ended up going unconscious. And I don't know how long I was unconscious for, but I heard the firemen, and you can hear the firemen like faintly through the noise and everything, and they happened to see me. If the firemen didn't see me, I wouldn't have got out of the building, because you couldn't see, you couldn't find an exit, you couldn't find the stairs, you couldn't find nothing. There was no way that you can get out of the building from the position that we were at on your own, unless you were brought to safety by somebody at that point.
Officer Esposito, I want to thank you for the job you did today, and all the other police officers. I am so sorry you were injured. I'm glad that your injuries, though, are not life-threatening, and we certainly do appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. Thank you so much.
Well,
we wish you the best.
And my prayers go out to all of the people out there that are helping, because nobody really has any idea of how emotionally straining this is going to be for most of us for the rest of our life.
You are so right. Thank you so much, sir.
First, we'll go down to Vesey and Church Street if we can. These are people who are either on the street, who had escaped from the building in the moments after the building's collapse. You are on the street at Vesey and Church. This would have been somewhere between 10 and 10:30. That is followed by what has been described continually as a war zone. ashen-strewn cars, blazing fires in buildings, people running for cover, people in a panic, crying, many people hurt. I want to add again, these are pictures that we have seen from other countries. We've never seen anything quite like this on U.S. soil. This is video of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, today, September 11th, 2001. We also have a third tape of the aftermath of what's gone on here. Again, the two twin towers, 110 stories each, no longer visible, no longer part of the New York skyline. And more burning cars, more devastation. Also, I want to point out that Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense, actually predicted there would be a second attack today. After the World Trade Center was attacked, there was an emergency meeting in the Pentagon. Rumsfeld is quoted as saying that there will be another event. I want to emphasize again, there will be another event. Shortly after that, the Pentagon was struck.
CBS 2 reporter Vince Dementri was in 7 World Trade Center about 45 minutes before it actually collapsed today. I know he was actually talking about what was there or what wasn't there.
Describing it as a war zone.
Yes, as a war zone. And something about he's got great gut instincts as a reporter. Something made him move. And thank God he did, because as I said, sometime later, very short time later, number 7 collapsed.
I'm also told that military heavy equipment will be brought in, bulldozers, cranes, things of that nature, to go in there as soon as they possibly can. And to bring us back to where we began, as you were talking about, yeah, I was there 45 minutes, and in hindsight, I guess what made me leave was when those windows began popping out, and I mean they didn't fall, they popped out of 7 World Trade Center. In hindsight, I guess maybe that was the inclination for us to get out.
Following the collapse of the World Trade Center, first you see the dust, the debris, the mounds of dust on the cars. Again, this video comes from amateur videographers looking not unlike what you might imagine in a bombed out Beirut. Again, the only thing to compare this video to that we have ever seen in this country, the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building where 168 people were killed, as we've been pointing out today. Casualties expected to go much higher in the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. 266 people on board the 2 aircraft that hit the towers. The fact that it is silent makes it all the more eerie.